Good morning. Thank you all for joining us and welcome to today's webinar explaining Arlington's Small Business Emergency Grant Program. I'm Kate Bates, President and CEO of the Arlington Chamber of Commerce, and we are proud to be partners with Arlington Economic Development BizLaunch to bring you today's program. We partnered together on a webinar 3 weeks ago with the Small Business Administration that focused on national programs like the Paycheck Protection Program and Economic Injury Disaster Loan. Today, we are pleased to share how small businesses can apply for a local program right here in Arlington. Last month, Arlington County established the grant program, which stands for Giving Resiliency Assets Near Term, to provide financial assistance to Arlington small businesses impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. The grant program will provide grants of up to $10,000 to businesses and nonprofits with fewer than 50 employees dealing with the immediate impacts of COVID-19. Funding for the program is coming from Arlington Economic Development's existing budget, with additional contributions from the Industrial Development Authority, as well as the Roslyn and Crystal City bids. In total, the fund stands at $1.2 million. Today's webinar will help you learn about eligibility for the grant program and the application process, including required documents and what resources are available to help applicants. Tara Palacios, the Director of BizLaunch at Arlington Economic Development, will lead a presentation about the program and then take questions from the audience. If you have a question for Tara, please type it into the chat box during the program. We will try to get to as many questions as we can. Tara and her colleagues are consistent champions for small business. Their work is always important and makes such a difference, but has never been more vital than it is right now. I want to begin by thanking Tara, her BizLaunch colleagues, and the entire Arlington Economic Development staff, led by Director Telly Tucker, for all of their great work to support our local businesses always, but particularly during this crisis. And with that, I'm pleased to turn things over to Tara Palacios. Again, thank you, Tara.
Thank you so much, Kate. Those words meant a lot to me, and I know to our team. We've been working really, really hard the last, I would say, 8 weeks. This grant has been a labor of love for our small business community, and we really thank everybody for joining us today. We wanted to, as part of the labor of love, we wanted to be as transparent about the process for the grant. With this webinar today, we're going to go over all of the details for the grant. If you have any questions, and this is why it was so important for us to do the webinar, make sure you have them in the chat. But we're really trying to think through, as we're already in a pandemic, which is hard enough. So how can we make the application of the grant process simple and easy for everyone? And really wanting you all to know too how much importance our business and our nonprofit community is to us. Without you, we can't do half the things that we do out in the community. And so to know this labor of love comes from a very good place, and we hope that it can help you and your team, your business, your family, as we get through this pandemic together. So without further ado, I'm going to do an overview on Arlington's Small Business Emergency Grant Program. And inside this guide for today, and I did a kind of a teaser webinar earlier, talked about, the process of the grant, the application, who's going to be reviewing in the entire process. With the webinar today, we want to kind of go underneath the hood and see exactly all the pieces. And we wanted to do this before the grant goes live so that you can put all the paperwork and all the necessary pieces that you need to have to make this as simplistic as possible for you. I did mention this in our teaser webinar, which is words to live by. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. I think the word courage sticks out to me during this pandemic because it takes a lot of courage to pivot as a business. It takes a lot of courage to really rebrand your business and redo things and figure out how to retain your employees. And so with that, we've come up with this program that we can help you continue with the courage that you need in order to have future success. The grant itself, it is an emergency grant. It is not a loan. That means you do not have to pay these funds back. It is a competitive process. So you can get grants of up to $10,000 if you are in Arlington and you're a small business or a nonprofit organization that's been impacted by COVID-19. It is a one-time funding. So like I said, it's not a loan. You will receive these funds in the form of a grant. You can use the grant in a variety of means. You can retain or support the employees that you currently have. You can rebuild your financial resiliency in order to pivot or to re-strategize what you need to do, forward thinking in the future as we come up from the stay-at-home regulations. We're going to be addressing any kind of temporary restrictions that you had, and you want to use the funding to help you through that. Also, to be able to increase the technological capacity for your business. So if you want to have Microsoft Teams, or if you want to build out Zoom so you can reach your clients, you could use that as part of your grant funds. You can develop or create new marketing campaigns to reach your client base, revise your business plan, or to do any type of cleaning that you need in order to have your employees be safe, as well as your clients that come and visit. The eligibility requirements, you must have one or more locations in Arlington County, including your principal place of business. We're looking at those that employ 50 or less. That really is small businesses in Arlington County. In that definition and economic development, we know that that's about 6,600 businesses across the county. And we're looking at that 50 fewer or less as of February 29th, 2020. You must have a 2020 Arlington County Business License certificate and no Arlington tax obligations as of March the 14th of 2020. More eligibility requirements that you might want to be thinking about as you apply. You have to be able to show a revenue decline of a minimum of 35%, specifically due to COVID-19. You give permission for the grant administrators and reviewers so that they can access COR and the treasurer's information that you have. So we're trying to keep the minimum amount of documentation that you have to a minimum so that we can then go and just verify based on the information that you've provided. We want to make sure that you supply a complete application. So that means all the paperwork that you need, that there's nothing missing, and to certify that the information that you're providing to us is true and that it's accurate. Businesses that aren't eligible are ones that are permanently closed. They're no longer in operation and don't intend to be in operation into the future. Franchises, with the exception of those that are locally owned and operated. Any type of illegal activities will not be eligible. And also government entities, and this includes political divisions that are within the Commonwealth of Virginia. The evaluation process itself, you will get additional points as the reviewers are looking. If you can show that it's had an impact on your employees, an impact on your day-to-day business operations, and your business, if it goes away, has an impact on the Arlington community as a whole. Now, the next few slides, I wanted to give everyone a really great taste of what the application will look like when you go to the online site. And it will be an electronic application that we really want that you could do from your phone. That simple. And you can upload or scan the documents from your phone, even taking a picture and uploading it into the form. We're still working on putting together the actual electronic, but I wanted you to see a working draft copy of what we have. This information that you see here is all information that we've kind of talked about, and it will be on the first page. It'll review who's eligible. It'll let you know how to apply and that you're going to go online. The next page, the highlights, we're starting to get into the nuts and bolts of the actual application itself. And what I've done from the pages is I've selected highlights of what I would love for you to remember as you're going through and filling out the application on your phone or your iPad or your laptop or your desktop. Is we need to know the legal name of your business. So not just your name or your co-owners' names. We need to know the legal name that you use or your doing business name, if applicable. The best way to reach you, so the address, the physical address of where you're located. I know things are kind of changed now that we have stay-at-home orders, but also if you could provide us with your primary physical address when you are in operation, and then a primary point of contact. I know that there are businesses that may have multiple business licenses and different people are in different parts. So if it's one particular business that you're going to be applying for, you'll want to make sure that that primary point of contact is the person that will be representing that particular business entity. And we'll also need to get a copy of your Arlington County business license number. And that's a business license number that you'll use if you're a nonprofit or a for-profit. We'll have an example of where you can find that on your business license certificate as part of the application process. For the next page, some of the highlights is, are you current on your tax obligations as of March 14th? How do you best describe the type of organization that you are? LLC, nonprofit, sole proprietor? How many locations? Number 8 is a very important question, your employer identification number that you receive from the IRS. If you're a sole proprietor, it could be your TIN or an ITIN or your social security number if you're a sole proprietor. And you'll fill out a W-9 form, which will have links, and then you can put those numbers into the application itself. Then it gets into the details of how many employees you have in Arlington as of February and as of April, and if it was due to layoffs, temporary furlough. So we're really trying to get an overall snapshot of where you are with your business right now. And then we also want to know, what is your primary business function? So what does the business with that business license certificate number, what do you primarily do? Is it in arts, entertainment? Are you manufacturing? Are you in transportation? So sometimes you'll have your primary business function, and under it there may be secondary. So for this particular grant, you're going to want to say what that primary business function is. We also want to understand the business demographics. Are you woman-owned, minority-owned, service disabled? You can prefer not to answer. And then we start to look into the actual annual revenue from 2019 to 2020. If your business opened January of 2020, we'll want to know from January 2020 to current. And so we're specifically going to look at what was your monthly revenue January, February, March, and April. So you'll give us an idea of, are you on a, has your monthly revenue declined? Has it remained the same? Or has it actually increased? And so you'll just put those numbers there. Also, your business status. Are you operating? Have you temporarily had to close? Are you offering takeout? Um, the one other really important one from this one is, how much funding are you seeking or would you need to seek through this application? And as you're thinking through, I think I would actually look at answering number 18 and figuring out what you want to use the funding for, and then go back to say, I need either 5,000, or I need the max at 10,000. And it'll give us an idea as well as to how are you going to be spending the grant funds. Some more kind of demographic information on the business, financial snapshot, looking ahead. Are you forward thinking of, like, can this grant help you to pivot or do other things as the stay-at-home orders expire? And also, in making things very simple, there'll be a link for you to be able to scan and upload a copy of your business license itself. There is a taxpayer information confidentiality waiver, just saying that we will do our best effort to make sure that information that's private is private, but also giving us access so that we can confirm all of the information that you have in the document is accurate. And we'll go back and we'll do that on our back end. And then there's a hold harmless and your signature, and you're off. And after that, you just hit submit. Make sure that the document is signed and it's complete. And so the required documents that we're looking for is that online application that's electronic. We're looking for the taxpayer information confidentiality waiver that gives us the ability to be able to go in and verify the information that you're providing or that you're saying. Also, that copy of your 2020 business license certificate. If you've lost yours, you can't put your hand on it, please do not worry. We have worked with our friends in the Commissioner of Revenue, and you can email them directly. In the subject matter, just put BLC certificate request in the subject line and send an email to business@arlingtonva.us. They have someone that's going to be dedicated to that and monitoring that email address so that they can help you if you're unable to put your hand on it. And then the next required document is just making sure that you sign the electronic form and you hit submit. Don't forget to hit submit. We need to get all the documentation. When do you need to have this done by? Midnight, Sunday, May 17th of 2020. And it will be an electronic submittal. And just make sure that all of your information, all the necessary documentation and everything is there. We will make all good faith efforts. If there's any questions regarding your application that you've submitted, we will make sure that we will reach out to you within and give you a reasonable amount of time to respond. So the interesting piece about the grant review and notifications, and I want everybody to know, we're in that first bullet I just described, we're going to make all reasonable attempts if we have any questions about your application or if something doesn't match up to have you to be able to answer them. The forms themselves will then go to some Arlington County staff and a review panel of our Economic Development Commission members, as well as the Industrial Development Authority members. But one thing that I want everyone to know on the call is the process will, phase one, you hit submit, and phase one and phase two are all automated. So what staff will be doing is just making sure that there's no red flags that say the business license certificate wasn't attached or there was something missing. So we'll go through and make sure that everything is there. If there's a red flag, then we'll make every reasonable attempt to reach out to you. The review panel themselves, it's blind. And by blind, I mean they only receive a automated number that we've assigned your business, and there will not be any information that discloses who you are. And so they literally will be getting all the nuts and bolts and information about the application, but they won't know who it is. If they have a suspicion or they think they know who it is, they must recuse themselves from evaluating that application. The process and the timeline is we hope after midnight, May 17th, we'll start lickety split and we will go through every single submittal that was presented to us as of that date. And then what we will do is we will, about mid-June, we will let everyone know that they have received the awards by mid-June. The funds will be automatically directly deposited as soon as we receive your banking information. Unsuccessful applicants are those that weren't successful with the grant application process won't be notified until we receive acceptance to the folks that are receiving the grants, because we want to make sure that all the monies are dispersed and distributed evenly across all of the different applicants, and if opportunities arise, so a business owner says, oh look, we pivoted, we don't need the additional money, it'll allow it to be open to other businesses. So we really want to make sure that everything's dispersed before we let folks know if they have not received the grant. And as we move forward, there's some things to keep in mind. One, county laws. Grantees must abide by applicable county laws, regulations, and policies. There is no undue influence. The use of the proceeds cannot be used for activities to influence public officials. I also want to pause and say here that myself and the BizLaunch team are completely recused. We will not be reviewing any of the applications. Our other staff within AED will be reviewing those applications. We want to really be on the front line to help you all to work through the application process. And so we are completely recused, and so no amount of influence will persuade us on anything. And also make sure that you're keeping accurate records and that you maintain and complete records that are provided to the county staff. And there will be a brief final report that will come to our offices in Arlington Economic Development by January 31st of 2021. So we want to give you some time to use the proceeds, to use the funding, and then we just want to make sure that you're still in business. Was it effective? Was it helpful? And we'll be sending that to you as a reminder, because it is public funds and public money. Languages. I want everyone to know that we have translated the applications in both Spanish and Amharic. We're going to be working with our friends at the Latino Economic Development Center to help us respond to folks in Spanish. Lourdes Morales will be overseeing that and liaisoning that work. In Amharic, we're going to be working with our friends at ECDC, Enterprise Development Group, just to make sure that you understand all the legal and the application process in your native languages. Alex Held on our team at BizLaunch will be liaisoning all applications in English. So we will have those resources available to you. Some of the questions, since I sent out the 10-minute mini webinar on Friday, had a lot of questions regarding nonprofits and if religious institutions are included. Yes, they are. They are part of the grant process. We know many churches have daycare centers and other uses for the community, and nonprofit organizations are definitely eligible. The application process, and I kind of went in a little bit of detail, we had a lot of questions around the 3 phases of the application process, and I hope I was able to answer that. And at the end, in mid-June, once all of the funding is dispersed, awardees, because it is public dollars, awardees will be named and announced, but no other information. Everything else will be kept private. The resources that I talked to you about, I'm really, really excited to let you know that we were able to get a specific telephone number for the grant itself. So if you call us for the grant application, if you need assistance or need help, feel free to reach out to us at this brand new number, hot off the press, 703-228-1999. And yes, we have made every single Prince reference that we possibly could about 1999. So I think you'll all remember that. Or feel free to email us at grants@arlingtonva.us. Dependent on the volume, we will do our best effort to get back in touch with everybody between 24, no later than 48 hours. It's our hope that we can be as responsive as we possibly can be. We actually have cleared off our schedules. There's no webinars, there's no other activities. Our focus in BizLaunch really is to be as responsive to you all as much as possible. I do ask, please be patient with us as well, because we're going to really try to help as much as possible as we can. And we're really proud of the partners that we have amassed that will be assisting us in our efforts. It can't just be 3 people. We have our friends at SCORE who will also be helping with the application process, LEDC in Spanish, EDG and Amharic, as well as our friends at the bids, the Roslyn bid, the Crystal City National Landing bid, and Ballston bid, and our coordinating council members, which are made up of folks from across the region who have technical assistance in a variety of different areas to be able to help with this process. So we're really appreciative to that. The 1999 number will probably go live in a day or so, but it'll definitely be live as soon as the applications are open. I love this photo. Difficult roads often lead to beautiful destinations. And even though we're in a pandemic, as a community, I'm so proud to work for Arlington County. I see how the community comes together to help and to just pitch in and to do their best to support the business community. And so at the end of this pandemic, whether it's in a month or a year or however long it takes us to get out, at the end, just remember that there are beautiful destinations in store. And I really appreciate you all and thank you for your time and attention this morning. With that, I'll move to any questions and answers that you may, questions, and we'll try to provide answers to any questions that you may have. And thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Tara. What a wonderful presentation. By way of an introduction, I'm Scott Pedowitz, the Government Affairs Manager at the Arlington Chamber of Commerce, and your MC for questions and answers today. In the interest of keeping the line clear, we're going to continue, please, to ask that you type your questions into the question and answer box. And you have been putting in questions, so we've got lots of great questions. And
Ooh, I hope I can answer them.
And we are going to try to get to as many as we can. So I'm actually going to start, those of us in and around government, we do like our initialisms and acronyms, and a few came up earlier on the call. And so just to make sure everybody's on the same page, two that I saw in the Q&A box, you mentioned the COR office.
Yes, that is our Commissioner of Revenue. The Commissioner of Revenue is the office that assesses your taxes and that issues all of the tax bills. So, and they're the ones that you get your business license from. So the Commissioner of Revenue is on board to help us with business license certificates if you don't have them. They also can verify and help with tax obligations. So I always look at them as, and I'm sorry, COR, Commissioner of Revenue, they assess, and then the treasurer's office is who you make the payments to. So those are two public bodies that will be working with us as part of the process.
Excellent. And another acronym question that came up, I think it was in one of the slides, is what are SWAM businesses?
Ah, yes. So sorry. Okay. And excuse me, I was in the private sector for years, and now being in government, it's like COR, this, that, and the other. I apologize. SWAM is a Virginia definition for small women and minority-owned businesses. You can get a certification if you fall into the SWAM category. Typically, we look at it as businesses that are sometimes more challenged to be able to get opportunities. And you don't necessarily need to be SWAM certified, but if you're in some of these buckets, or if you are certified, you can self-identify if need be as part of the application process.
Excellent. And one question that came up specifically around that is there a certain percentage of ownership that has to fit into one of those categories to qualify?
Typically, we look at especially when you're looking in the contracting world, and I think it's like a federal rule of thumb is 51% ownership.
Okay.
Is what
Excellent.
we use.
Okay, wonderful. Switching gears, you mentioned that nonprofits are eligible, and this question came in from a number of nonprofit folks and religious institutions, is saying that they don't have a business license because of the nature of their business. Are they eligible, and if so, what would they submit in place of a business license?
Okay, so got that question is still out with our friends at COR. I was hoping to get that answered because that actually came up over the weekend as well. So what we will do is, and we're going to post an FAQ link, and I'm going to have that answer at the very top. And I'll also let people know that have participated today. I can send out a note just to say what documentation we specifically need for the nonprofits. But yes, you are eligible. Please apply. And the
Okay.
other piece is to be determined.
Okay, excellent. And
Yes.
shows just how real time, this program is, and near term, right in the name.
Yes.
Very, very important. Another question that came up again on the eligibility piece is what constitutes principal place of business? And just saw a question came up for a nonprofit with an affiliate office in Fairfax, but does a lot of work in Arlington, and would they be eligible?
As long as you have your licensing in Arlington, if you have an Arlington business license, that would have you eligible. Principal place means that a lot of your work is done out of Arlington County, and then you can have multiple locations, but I hope I'm explaining this right. So if you are an Arlington business, you're here in Arlington County, or if there's a division of a particular business that's here and you have, like, say, a location in Maryland, Virginia, DC, and you have the license, then you are eligible.
Okay, wonderful. Staying on place of doing business, got a couple of questions from folks who have home-based businesses here in Arlington. Are they eligible?
They are eligible.
Wonderful.
Yes.
That is excellent. And staying also on sort of location, a couple of questions came in to unpack the franchise rule. And
Yes.
sort of what constitutes a locally owned and operated franchise that is eligible as a thing from a franchisee who's not?
So typically what we've been saying is, if the business is, say, for instance, I think of our friends from Pupatella, that they have different lines of businesses, and they're starting to franchise, but their principal place of business is here and they're very local and it's managed by them. So if it's a franchise that's like McDonald's, but it's locally owned by one operator and you have one location in Arlington, that's what we would consider a local franchise.
Okay, wonderful. Turning to the employee side, talking about fewer than 50 employees. One question we saw is, how is that counted? Is that just full-time or all people who work with you?
All the people that work with you, whether they're full-time or part-time.
Okay, excellent. And if you are a sole employee firm, so basically you're a sole proprietorship, are you eligible?
Yes, you are.
Excellent. And sort of in a similar vein, imagine probably the same answer, but going to ask because you never know.
Yes.
What if you sort of have that sole proprietorship and you work with a lot of 1099 independent contractors?
You are still eligible. And those 1099s potentially, like if they're in Arlington and they're doing work, they could be eligible too, because the 1099 is its own entity.
Okay, no, that's an important note there. Independent contracting, a huge part of our economy. So great to know there.
And I guess to that point, Scott, I just want to say, in lifting up this grant, we really wanted to try to make as big of an impact on as many different groups as we possibly could. And so I err on the side, reach out to us, but also I err on the side to apply, because it's a grant and it's available to you. And then let us do the hard work on the other end.
So that's going to have two follow-ups. Number one, on the counting part-time, how should part-timers be counted? Is it everybody, or if you have two half-time employees, do they count as half each?
I would say, like, if you had two half-times, then that would be considered a full-time person.
So basically full-time equivalent.
Yeah, full-time equivalent.
Excellent. And actually, and then getting to the point you just made, this was a question that had come in a little earlier, but apropos here. Is there going to be an opportunity for people who think they might be on the cusp of eligibility to get a quick assessment of if they're likely to be eligible? I think I had a few people who are interested but don't want to put in the time if they know that it's an easy answer.
Yes, and in that instance, I would have them reach out to us within the BizLaunch team, and then let us help you to figure that out. So that way, it's not. I definitely don't want people to put in the effort if they have had experienced a 10% decline. Do you know what I mean? Like I'd rather 35% or more, or we could talk it through.
And should people ring up that 1999 number?
Either the
703?
1999 or the grants at arlingtonva.us, because there'll be a team of people that will be monitoring the 1999 phone line and be on the phone line, but also that grants at arlingtonva.us.
Excellent. Wonderful. And we'll just repeat that so it's nice and clear. 703-228-1999 or grants at Arlington. Grants, G-R-A-N-T-S?
Yes.
Grants, grants at arlingtonva.us. And of course, that'll all be on the website as well as things get up and running. So a couple of questions about kind of how work will be done and the ways to measure your revenue loss. One that came in is, what if you're in a business and that is stopped operating for safety reasons, and it might be some time before you're able to get up and going again? Obviously going to see a big revenue hit. Are you eligible if it's going to take a while to be able to put those funds to use?
Yes, that's definitely, yes, you are definitely eligible. And you're probably using the formula that we have that'll be on the application. You'll be able to easily show that.
Excellent. And in a similar vein, got a question from someone, I think in a startup space, probably was hoping to get launched in the spring, has become delayed by this. Are they eligible or no, because they're not up and running yet?
As long as they have that 2020 business license application, they can apply.
Excellent. Good answer there. Now, on the how to calculate, I think some of these might have been answered a little before. Is there a specific time frame you need to show that 35% revenue decline, and kind of what's your numerator and denominator for that?
So when we have on the application the January through April, and each month you give an estimate of the decline, that's where we'll be looking at.
Okay, so but now is the base, so is it any kind of month-to-month decline, or is there a particular, like, oh, it's got to be prorated off this year versus 2019?
Well, we're going to look at 2019 to see the base for the business, to see like what the general revenue was last year as a snapshot. But the true indicator is going to be that January through April. Not really looking at January. February is a little mushy, but really March, April, because I think that's when people really started to see March 14th when the stay-at-home order was issued. So we're really going to be looking at, we want to kind of see the gradual decline, but then the very important months for us are going to be March and April.
Okay, excellent. One person had written in, said they were able to come up with a business plan that kept them going through the end of April, but as the calendar turned to May, that has lapsed. They're not able to get going. They've fallen off the cliff. Could they apply knowing that the revenue decline is coming after April 30th?
If they indicate that in their, what I would recommend is indicate that in the form, and then also, projecting out or writing out what you believe the decline would be.
So what I'm hearing is, I noticed as you were showing the form, it's a lot of multiple choice questions, but these are going to be evaluated by actual human people. Go ahead, if there are explanatory notes, put them in there and help the team do that, evaluation.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that is excellent. So looking out a little bit ahead, one question that came up is, would awards of smaller than the applied amount be considered? So got a few people who said, I could find a good use for $10,000, want to go ahead and apply for it, but want to, if there are a lot of applications and you want to spread the money around, don't want to be told, well, we're only going to do 5,000 applications. Would you award a smaller grant if that helps, even though people applied for more?
Yeah, I think our biggest thing is if people could really ask for what they really need,
Mhm.
because if we're able, our goal is to try to help as many people as possible, um, but ask what you need. So if you do need the 10,000, I'd rather you ask for the 10,000 than not. But then if you really could, as you're looking through your expenses and everything, if you could use the 25, ask for the 25, because then that way it'll help. Even we'll able to, because we have right now a finite amount, we want to spread it out as much as possible.
Okay, so ask for what you need, but not more than you need.
Be mindful.
Be
Yes.
mindful of others.
Yes.
Reminded, I went to a summer camp. They had a sign in the dining hall: "Take what you want, but eat what you take." Sort of a
I like
similar,
that. Yes.
or sort of a similar vein for that.
Yes.
Okay, no, that is excellent. Getting back to a couple of categories of eligibility, got a question of, are real estate agents eligible?
Yes, they are part of that list.
Excellent. And you mentioned 1099s earlier, people who work as Uber drivers or babysitters, are they eligible?
Yes. Sole proprietors. Yep.
Excellent. That is that's excellent. So now a little bit of question about looking forward. If I get the funds, it's going to take me a while to get back up and running. Is there a timeline for being able to use the money? I think people are thinking about how the PPP loans have that really tight 8-week timeline. Is there a
Oh, yes, yes,
timeline
yes.
here? And what documentation is going to be required to kind of show how you use?
Oh, that's a great question. What we're going to do, we're trying to learn from PPP and SBA and our friends in the federal government. And so what we've said is your final report, and we'll send you a template. It's like we want everything to be just transparent and very easy to fill out. You have until January the 31st to do your final report. Um, and I should have said this, I meant to mention this earlier. If you receive the funds or if you don't receive the funds, I like to say we don't go away. And we have access to different tools and different resources. We can help with strategy and building and future forward looking. So just keep that in mind, everyone. I don't want it if you get a note saying that you have not succeeded in getting the grant. I don't want you to think, oh, that's it. I have no other opportunity. We're still available to set up appointments to work with you one-on-one through Teams or through GoToWebinar. So if you do receive the award, you have from mid-June through December to make sure that you spend the funds. And then you spend it in the areas that I had mentioned earlier on.
Excellent. Wonderful. Tara, you mentioned as you were going through that one of the criteria is that a business has to be current with its tax obligations. I think you mentioned Arlington, possibly the Commonwealth. Can you just unpack a little bit of the as of when and can you get current and apply?
Yes. So rule of thumb we've been doing so far is saying that by March the 14th, that all your tax obligations were paid. You can reach out to our friends at the Commissioner of Revenue and get current on any Arlington County funds that might be outstanding in order to get eligibility. So you have between now and say May the 17th at midnight to be able to submit. You'll want to, because we don't want to have that. And the March 14th date is the day that the stay-at-home order was issued.
Excellent. So the idea is we're not going to hold people if they sort of that, March 20th deadline that came after. We're not going to hold people on that, but it also isn't a time that everything freezes in air. So
Yes.
if you missed a bill, and we saw this question, someone kind of misplaced some paper earlier in the year, but it's since gotten current, they're good.
Yes, that is it.
That is wonderful. Going back on the eligibility piece, and I think getting back to opening up some of that, help us explain, help us see. Got a couple of questions from some seasonal businesses, I think tourism, but other businesses that
Mhm.
summer is a big
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
So they haven't seen impact yet, but it's starting or it's coming. Is there a way for them to demonstrate, hey, look, the revenue
Yes.
hit's coming?
I would indicate on the application that you're seasonal and that you're anticipating. And we'll have some more clarity in our FAQs because I think that's a great point. Depending on when the stay-at-home orders cease, we want to make sure that we want the application also to be as forward-thinking as possible. So I'll make sure I update that. That's one question. That's an excellent question. I want to make sure to get back to folks on seasonal businesses that may not from January through April. I'll make sure that we find that answer today and send that to everyone in the group.
Excellent. No, that is good. Another question back on the getting good on taxes. One was said, could these funds be used to get up to date with Commonwealth taxes?
Oh, was it because they weren't able to pay the Commonwealth taxes because of COVID?
Unclear from the question.
Okay. Because if you want to, for the grant, the funds really are COVID related, and the reason why your business is suffering is because of the pandemic, not things that had happened to you necessarily in the past, like pre-January, I would say. So if folks could, if you can show, yeah, I wouldn't want to do like back taxes prior to January.
Okay. But if it was a COVID area, so I think that's
Yeah,
a super
yeah,
important point that
yeah.
you're looking for. This is a pandemic impact.
And we're really also not going to be looking at any federal tax owed
Okay. To
because
really
yeah.
focus in on us. Speaking of federal tax, one question came on is, would the grant income be taxable?
Oh, oh, I hadn't thought about that one. That one I'm not sure of. That's another one that I will definitely make sure to get back to everybody on because that's an important one. Um,
Definitely.
it's the money itself would, my thought is you would be taking it in as income, so you may need to report it as part of your 2020 taxes.
Okay, excellent. And as we always like to remind people, always good to be checking with your financial professionals.
Yes, your accountants, and make sure, like, if you accept this money, how does it impact you?
Excellent. One correction that I am seeing that has come from one of our AED staff members. Thank
Oh,
you. Email
fabulous.
is grant@arlingtonva.us. No
Oh,
S.
thank you. So it's not more than one grant. I guess that makes
It is
sense.
grant, the name of the
There's
program.
no S.
Grant@arlingtonva. No, yes.
I would
Grant at
like for it to
Arlington.
be, Scott, I guess I would like for it to be multiple, but
Well, we're trying to help as many businesses as we can, but most importantly for the email, grant,
yeah,
grant
great.
at arlingtonva.us, and of course 703-228-1999. Just
Thank
like
you for that.
thank you to Kelly for putting that in
Thank you.
over the box there. Okay, we have time for a couple more questions. You guys have been sending them in like wildfire. These are great.
Wow,
And
I'm
also that
glad.
email is great. If your question wasn't addressed here, a great place to reach
Yes,
out for questions, and
grant.
we'll get stuff up on the website. One question that came in. So
Mhm.
one we just got, I've seen this a few places on the revenue loss. Do you need to show, we talked a lot about 2019 P&L and using it as a base. Do you need to show documentation behind that, or just certify here's what we had last year?
Certify that that's what you had last year. We will be certifying that what you say is accurate because we want to make it like as light of a lift for you all as possible. So we will be verifying with the agency to make sure what you are putting is matches up with what it was the actual. So be as close or
Right.
as, yeah.
But yeah, so what I'm hearing is, you're going to be checking, but the idea is not to make this an exercise in paperwork.
No, exactly.
Let everyone get
Exactly.
back to trying to do their business. And, you know, of course, if you're already down 35%, you got a lot on your mind, so want to help
That's
you.
right. That's right.
No,
That's right.
those are excellent questions. Seeing a couple of others that are coming in. Got one earlier. If you've got two separate LLCs with separate employee identification numbers, could they each apply?
Yes,
Yes,
because they're
excellent.
different entities. I had gotten a question from someone about they had um, several daycare locations, manage different business license numbers. They could each separately apply.
Excellent. And now a couple of questions about disbursement.
Yes,
So you mentioned that the plan is to have the approvals by the middle of June. Will
yes.
disbursement be straight away, or is there going to be some lag until the money is sent out?
Well, as soon as we get the bank account information from the grantee, we will set up the accounts. It'll probably take a few days, but we hope to use our system to wire that money straight in.
Excellent. That answered the next question, in which are these going to be direct deposit? It sounds
Yes,
like
direct deposit.
excellent. And then looking through here, another big important question. I know it was mentioned earlier, but I don't think that there is too much that can be too often that it can be repeated. And I think actually we're getting about on time, so I'll make this the last question. When
Okay.
is the application deadline?
Application deadline, May 17th, 2020 at midnight. Actually, 11:59 Eastern Standard Time. So
11:59. So it's the end of a week from Sunday.
yes,
That
yes.
that midnight. Yeah.
And I'm surprised no one has asked this, but we are hoping to have everything live. We've been working. We really want to get it live as soon as possible, but we also wanted to let everybody know, like, these are the documentations we're looking for. This is what we need, the information, so that you can start prepping for that now. So when the application goes live, it's just a matter of bing, bang, boom, and you put it in and wait till mid-June to hear back from us.
Excellent. I know we're all excited for that. And the BizLaunch team, if you're not already signed up for the BizLaunch emails, sign up for the BizLaunch emails.
Yes.
They are terrific. But AD will be putting out, I know we at the Chamber will be sharing that message, and
Wonderful.
our other partners, the Industrial Development Authority, the BIDs, other community leaders. We're going to be out there getting the message out because we want to help everybody apply. Thank you everyone for your questions. I know that we
Yeah.
barely scratched the surface, but we had an hour, and we're going to continue going forward with that. But now, just for some final thoughts, I want to turn it back to Tara.
So thank you all so very much. On behalf of Arlington County, the Arlington Chamber of Commerce, all of our partners and friends, we really appreciate you taking the time of being here with us today. We look forward to working with you on this process. It couldn't have been done without our Arlington County Board, our manager, our Economic Development Director, Telly Tucker, and our fabulous team, as well as our BizLaunch team and all of our friends that we work with to put this together. The Roslyn bid, the Crystal City bid, all contributed funds, as well as our IDA. And I think I want everyone to know that we care about you, we respect you, and when we come up from this, we want you to be stronger than ever. And that you've taken this time to sign up and to be a part of this program is priceless, and that we don't go away. We're in this together. And you've got so many people that are supportive that are here in the Arlington community. So, with that said, I look forward to communicating with you all again as we move forward in the grant process. And thank you so much, Scott, to you and to Kate for this, and Olivia. This has been wonderful, helping me to answer as many questions as possible. We will be taping. This has been taped, so you'll be able to go back, and I'll also make sure that the webinar is available to everyone. The actual PowerPoint is available to everyone as well. So thank you all so much, and have a beautiful day.